Good morning, friends. Commercial correspondence. We all know the importance of communication in today's life, whether it is school, college, profession, facing the interview, whatsoever. Until now, we have talked on the basic fundamentals of communication. We have also talked on active listening. We have talked on barriers to communication. But today's topic is very important. We are being introduced to plenty of new tools of communication nowadays. We have to keep ourselves very equipped with all these tools. And this is what the topic of today is. Modern tools of communication. And friends, what we have brought today for you is a speaker who is not only familiar with the modern tools. He is not only delivering lectures on modern tools of communication. For last so many of years, he has been using these tools personally. Say for an example, he has been moderator for many e-groups, academic groups. He has been using almost all the tools of modern communication in his Department of English. And none other than I am referring to Professor and Dr. Dilip Barad. He is the head of the Department of English, Bhavnagar University, Bhavnagar. And today he is going to deliver a beautiful presentation on various tools, modern tools of communication. So over to you, Dr. Dilip Barad, please.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for very nice introduction, dear friend, Professor H.I. Sarvaiya.
Thank you.
Well, friends, so we are going to discuss today something regarding modern tools of communications. Up till now, as I have been informed that what is communications, what are the other things that needs to be taken care for the communication has already been discussed. So today our concentration is not to discuss what is communications. Rather, we will concentrate on different tools that are used for communications. With the advancement of ICT, information and communication technology, we are witnessing that every day one or the other new things are coming up and which are adapted by human beings as a form of communications. Now let us see here that what are those tools and how they are very well equipped by the human beings to use in their day-to-day life. The initial question perhaps that comes here is why communicate? We all know that there is something like, in a jargonistic way, we can say coding and decoding of messages. We want to convey message, we want to accept message. These are something that we want to do, and so we communicate. Beyond that, there is a psychological need also, an urge to express. One has to say something to somebody else, and that also plays an important role in communications. There is also a social need, mission or vision to group people for any noble cause. These are a few reasons for which we normally communicate. Communication, I would rather say, is a natural instinct. Natural instinct by which I would like to say that it's not only human but even animals need to communicate. Communication skills are one of those most vital factors in person's life. From the dawn of human beings living on the planet, good communications were needed for people to interact between one another and thus build the process in order to survive and flourish. And if we just have a bird's eye view over the history of communication, we will come to know that how today we have evolved in using communication tools. Bird's eye view of the history of communication and the tools that were used by the human beings in the past ages. It is claimed that ancient smoke signal was the very first communication technology. The Greek poet Homer discussed the use of smoke signals around 1200 BC. Besides carrier-like pigeons, kites and camels, tom-tom beating of drum, smoke signals remained the best options for nearly instantaneous long-distance communication until the introduction of the telegraph in 1837. The telephone was introduced in 1876, the radio in 1901, the television in 1928, and the most recent technology, the internet, in 1969. Well, friends, I have deliberately put a question mark in the bracket with all these dates because it is very difficult to give a specific date to these inventions.
It's always debatable.
Yeah, and various research that has overgone, they have said that it may be this date or that date. But roughly we can say that these were the dates during which this kind of technological invention had happened. Well, let us see this video to witness the journey of the growth and development of communication tools.
Technology is brilliant, but keeping up is a bit tricky. That's why at the car phone warehouse we've always had the latest stuff. Always have. Always will. Along with lots of clued up people who can help you make sense of it all.
That's good. Well, so this is how the technology has evolved. From the drum beating sound to the smoke signals to animals, and now we have these mobile phones and internet technology. Well, to discuss about the tools, we have here three types of modern communications. The most commonly used type is the media, television media, print media, electronic media, represented by radio and television, which produces messages to the received. Two-way communication technologies such as telephones, telegraphs, telex, fax, etc. allow user to both transmit and receive messages. And the third and the most important about which we are going to discuss today is the internet, which offers mixed communication that could go either way. Well, so briefly speaking, we can say the first type of communication is one-way communication where we are the receiver and television or radio is the sender of the message. In the second one, when we discuss about telephone, mobile phone, SMSs, and many other things, there is two-way communication that goes. And in the third one, there is a mixture of several kind of things. It is synergism of one-way and two-way communication, where even the multiple ways of communications are open because of the things that are offered by internet. The internet-based communication. Personal computers first became truly popular in the early 1980s. Not long after that, computers began to be networked with each other, and in the 1990s, the internet as we know it today was effectively born. The internet arguably ranks among the greatest inventions ever made, as it has made communication relatively instant even to people on opposite sides of the planet, and has provided access to even remote parts of the world. Now, it is this invention that has opened the horizons of communication tools. Today, we would like to concentrate more on what opportunities has opened so far as the tools of communication is concerned in the 21st century, rather than looking towards what was there in the 20th century.
Exactly.
Well, again, we will see an interesting video to feel the change brought by internet technology.
Man is God. He is everywhere. He is anybody. He knows everything. This is the Prometheus new world. It all started with the media revolution, with the internet, at the end of the last century. Everything related to the old media vanished. Gutenberg, copyright, the radio, television, advertisement. The old world reacts. More restrictions for copyright, new laws against unauthorized copies. Napster, the music peer-to-peer company, is sued. At the same time, free internet radio appears. TiVo, the internet television, allows the viewer to avoid commercials. The Wall Street Journal goes online. Google launches Google News. Every day, millions of people read All My News, the biggest online newspaper written by thousands of journalists. Flickr becomes the biggest repository in the history of photos, YouTube for movies. The power of the masses. A new figure emerges, the prosumer, a producer and a consumer of information. Anyone can be a prosumer. The news channels become available on the internet. Blogs become more influential than the old media. Newspapers are released for free. Wikipedia is the most complete encyclopedia ever. In 2007, Life magazine closes. The New York Times sells its television and declares that the future is digital. BBC follows. In the main cities of the world, people are connected for free. At the corners of the streets, totems print pages from blogs and digital magazines. Millions of people are now getting used to the internet, many virtual worlds. A person can have multiple online identities. Second Life launches the vocal avatar. The old media fight back. A tax is added on any screen. Newspapers, radios and televisions are financed by the state. Illegal downloading from the web is punished with years of jail. Around 2011, the tipping point is reached. Advertisement investments are done on the net. The electronic paper is a mass product. Anyone can read anything on plastic paper. In 2015, newspapers and broadcasting television disappear.
Wow.
Digital terrestrial is abandoned. The radio goes on the internet. The media arena is less and less populated. Only the Tyrannosaurus Rex survives. The net includes and unifies all the content. Google buys Microsoft. Amazon buys Yahoo, thus becoming the world universal content leaders with BBC, CNN, and CCTV. The concept of static information, books, articles, images, changes and is transformed into knowledge flow. Advertisement is chosen by the content creators, by the authors themselves, and becomes information, comparison, experience. In 2020, Lawrence Lessig, the author of Free Culture, is the new U.S. Secretary of Justice and declares copyright illegal. Devices that replicate the five senses are available in the virtual worlds. Reality could be replicated in Second Life. Anyone has an AGAV, agent avatar, that finds information, people, places in the virtual worlds. In 2022, Google launches Prometheus, the AGAV standard interface. Amazon creates Place, a company that replicates reality. You can be on Mars, at the Battle of Waterloo, at the Super Bowl as a person. It's real. In 2027, Second Life evolves in the spirit. People become who they want and share the memory, the experiences, the feelings. Memory selling becomes normal trading. In 2050, Prometheus buys place and spirit. Virtual life is the biggest market on the planet. Prometheus finances all the space missions to find new words for its customers. The terrestrial avatar.
That was a wonderful video, I must say, Dr. Bharat. That was really very nice. I don't know whether positively there are things we can take positively, few things which is really shocking, but I don't know. It was thought-provoking, that I must say.
Well, this is where we are leading towards, and if we don't discuss this kind of things, our students will be left out.
Exactly.
And it is for this sake that we have to bring the futurity also when we discuss about the modern tools of communications, because the way the things are going on, we have listed down a few things that we'll discuss. This list is more generally from taken from the syllabi that are being taught in various universities of Gujarat and India. But the video that we have seen also discusses about the futurity, and at the end of this program also we will see one very interesting video which also will talk about something like sixth sense, and which also is going to become a kind of a reality in very near future.
Even this Second Life, this thing, it was really, I mean, I have known a little bit about it, but that's really, I mean, at the first sight it is mysterious, but it's wonderful as well. And you know, it also works on one thing perhaps, that you know, as you said earlier in the lecture, that it's an instinct, natural instinct, and we need to talk to, you know, Second Life. I would insist that you must talk something on Second Life as well.
Second Life is a kind of a virtual world. Nowadays in America and in UK, normally there are classrooms taken on Second Life.
Okay.
In a very interesting way. And the teachers have said that there are more students on their virtual classroom than in their actual classrooms.
Okay.
That is an interesting note. So students also are bent towards learning in the virtual world rather than in the real world. And what is important is that they get a free voice. They can express themselves in a better way in the virtual world than in the real world.
Oh, that's great.
So that is where the Second Life is making a mark. Because it requires a very high quality graphic cards,
of course, yes.
very high speed of internet connectivity. Still it is not available here in India at this level.
Okay.
But the days are not away that we will have.
Yeah, we will definitely come across very closely perhaps.
Yeah, and it will become a very important tool in the educational arena also.
Exactly.
Well, some of the commonly used tools over internet are like voice over internet protocol, fax, chat, e-group, blog, email, scrap or wall writing or comments on social networking sites like Orkut, Facebook, Ning, etc. Twitter, which is much in use nowadays because some of our ministers and film stars and the cricketers are also becoming more and more Twitter friendly. SMS texting and video conferencing. Well, let us see a few of them, as the time won't permit us to discuss all these modern tools in detail.
Obviously, yes, I can understand that.
Well, so fax, let us start with that. Now, it is believed that fax is something which is dying very fast. Because of the advent of internet and many other modern tools, people now rarely think about fax as one of the modern tools of communication. Well, let us very quickly see the pros and cons of fax. Instant delivery of documents, a very important thing, well, which can be achieved in emailing also. That is why people think of replacing fax with the emails.
Exactly.
Instant receipt of delivery, which somewhere is lacking in emailing. Because people may not respond that quickly, or if the email is not set on auto-generated reply back, then we don't receive the receipt, whether the things are delivered or not. But in fax, that is possible. So still we see that several official documents are sent through fax rather than emails. Time and date stamps that automatically come on the fax document is very important to give its legal validity.
Exactly, make it official.
Somewhere, somehow, email also lacks this kind of legality. Because those things can be programmed and new dates and time can be given to the email documents. Automatic document feeder, it works in a way that supposing in an office the executive has to send some 10 faxes. He just piles the paper, puts there, and then gives the command, and then he starts doing his own work. Slowly and steadily, all this automatically, those documents are sent. That is one of the advantage of fax. Where in email we have to sit there and send all the documents personally.
So that is something which is new about the faxing, isn't it?
Yeah. So now the auto-generated machines that have come, they have this kind of techniques. Save time as compared to courier or speed post, which nowadays are known as snail mail, very, very slow. Even the courier takes at least 24 hours in the delivery of the letters. Well, it also has its own disadvantages. Low image quality. If you are sending some graphics, some charts, then perhaps there will be poor visibility. Even if the fax machine at the receiver end is not of good quality, or if the ink is not there, then also the quality of even the document will not be clearly visible. Extra phone line requires for the fax, and that also may be some kind of a hurdle. So at times we see that the offices may have one line or two line which is used for the phone calls, and for the fax they have to have a dedicated line. Without that, the fax communication becomes impossible. Long distance call rates are something that is more troublesome here. Slow transmission rate, paper wastage, where people are now becoming more and more eco-friendly. And for that, fax has its own advantage, that it is more wastage of paper and trees by that way. Well, the futurity of this is very important, like internet faxing. today normally people use these services like fax to email and email to fax. There are many such websites which provide this kind of services, and business houses are making use of this in a very effective way also. Well, coming to the next, that is chatting. Well, chatting and SMS texting somewhere goes together.
Okay.
And when we discuss about chatting or SMS texting as some tools of communication, there are always questions that how far we can give it a validity or reliability also, because normally we find that on chat applets and through SMSs, very serious kind of communications rarely happen. But the time has come now that people have started taking these tools very seriously, and they are also using it in a very formal and a serious way also. Well, so the advantages of chatting or SMSs is instant reply. We use some words very commonly here, that is synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. To give a brief explanation of these two words, like synchronous means that instantly two parties are sitting on their computers and they go on replying at a time.
Okay.
Communication happening at a time is synchronous. And asynchronous means that it does not happen at a time. Like for example, email. We have sent the email that will be received only when the person opens his own mailbox.
Exactly.
And then he replies. So there is a gap of time. It does not happen at a time. Whereas perhaps in SMS or perhaps in chatting, that is almost instant. That can be seen.
So same time.
Same time communication, that is synchronous.
Yeah, okay.
So people now prefer to have synchronous communication rather than asynchronous communication.
It's more effective as well.
More effective as well.
And it gives feedback at a time, so
at
you
a
can.
time,
Yeah, you're right.
Because this all things in a corporate world are used for problem solving kind of a thing.
Okay.
They have to take decision on the moment. They have to solve some problems. So asynchronous may not help them because there is some time gap that goes, and so people prefer to have synchronous communication. Well, potential problem solving tool, as we have discussed in the field of management, and the records of chats for future reference are also now available. That is one of the advantage of chatting now, which gives them a kind of a legality or reliability also. Well, because it is used more informally, it has got its own disadvantage. Not serious form of communication still. People also feel that it is wastage of time. Pings from known and unknown sources, which also occupies most of the time. Ping, I would say that the message sent through chatting is known as ping.
Okay.
So people normally say, please ping me. Means please send me a chat message.
Okay.
Well, and if you want to have a kind of synchronous communication on chat, then pre-scheduling is difficult to manage. Because every people has to come on a way. I would like to give one example that nowadays to serve customers in an effective way, corporate houses have their chat applets. And they give the time that during this time our personnel will be sitting and you can chat your problems with them. So that is pre-scheduling of the timing is available in that particular case.
Exactly.
Well, e-groups. This also is something that is emerging very fast. We have very popular electronic groups services provided by Yahoo and Google, and it has got this all more advantage, I would say, than disadvantages. Communication with group of people at a time. We don't have to remember so many emails. Only sending a message to one email and it delivers to everybody.
All the members of the
all
group.
the members of the group. Online discussion forum is possible here, though it is asynchronous, yet the online discussion forum is very well managed on Google groups and Yahoo groups. Archives of past communications, very effectively you can find those things. That is very, very useful. Free web spaces for files and folders. So important files and folders, you don't require bulky attachments every time to send them. You can just upload them on the files and it can be shareable. Creating free web pages, photo albums possible on Yahoo group rather than on Google. Taking polls on crucial issues is also possible on e-groups. Convenient way of managing attachments also is possible on these groups. Well, the disadvantages are asynchronous communication. As
obviously, it is asynchronous.
And irregularity in checking mails by members. That is one another problem that comes here. That people still don't have the habit.
That's a headache.
Yeah.
When you are managing a group, that's always a headache.
That is a headache.
Those who are not prompt in reply and all these things. and then it becomes very difficult.
Very, very
It's
difficult,
one of the
yeah.
barriers.
One of the things that goes with the email we'll discuss later on also is that irregularity of the people checking the mails. One has to
Okay.
check mails regularly, otherwise modern tools of communication will not work. Email
There are
is
plenty
the
of
backbone.
reasons.
Backbone.
It's
Well,
quite
you also are now moderating the SANDHAN BISEC group.
Yeah, of course.
And as the opportunity has come, I would like to request all the students and teachers watching there to give your feedbacks through the SANDHAN BISEC group. In the last slide, we will show you the email ID of this group also.
Exactly, surely.
So at least you can try it out, that how this group functions in giving feedback. That also is one form of communication, that you are telling us that what things we are lacking, what things we need to improve, etc. Well, there is no secrecy on the groups. Everybody can read. That is one of the disadvantage. And then too many mails to handle at times. When you are a member of several groups, it becomes very difficult to manage and handle several
But
groups.
no secrecy point, I would like to say, I'll put it in advantages perhaps, because at the same time when it is not keeping the secrecy of the messages, on the other side it is openness.
Transparency.
Transparency,
Yeah,
so that let us take it in both, it
In
is
both.
advantage
It is
also,
advantage rather
and
we
it
can
is
say, yeah.
disadvantage also, isn't it? Of
Well,
course.
why we discuss about the secrecy is that the problem of BlackBerry and the government of,
Of course,
India
yes,
going
yes,
on.
of course,
So
yes.
the government of India is asking the same thing, that if you want BlackBerry want to sell their devices, you have to keep
Okay.
the things open for them.
Okay.
And BlackBerry has their own server where they keep secret communications possible for the corporate houses.
Oh.
So that
That's
is
the reason
the
perhaps,
thing.
yeah.
So BlackBerry has their advanced ways of communicating, and corporate houses are more happy with those things.
Ah.
So that those things are not disclosed to the government also.
Oh.
But well, if you want to give transparency
Yes.
in human relationship as well as in the communication,
Communication
then
itself,
these things
yeah.
are, openness is a very important thing. Well, voice over internet protocol is a technology is very attractive to people because it is very convenient and cheap. One can reach the most distant places making international calls for every small investment. These calls are made on the basis of high-speed broadband internet connections, and in many cases, such as Skype and IMs, that is instant messaging, users are free or very low cost, other than the monthly premium or the
Exactly.
monthly price that we normally pay for our international calls. So
Okay.
this is very useful in the international calls. Well, very quickly let us evaluate pros and cons of email, which is, I would rather say that is the backbone of the modern forms of communication.
Exactly,
Without emailing,
exactly.
one can, now it is impossible to survive in this modern world.
Of course, yes.
So email is cheap. People may argue that you have to buy computer, you have to buy laptop, you should have a connection of internet, and that cost is not cheap. But still, looking at the overall way of the things, that what you are gaining by this communication, it is much cheaper than what goes into the
Yeah, of
wastage
course.
of paper, and the time that is more important. Easily retrievable for references. Easy filing, e-filing is possible, and then we can easily search the emails for the future communications. Email saves time also. The other advantages, email eliminates the problem of trying to contact busy people who are not always available for telephone calls.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a very important point that comes here. Emails sent to them are stored in the email boxes until they are ready to read them. Email facilitates the process of making business decisions because it permits rapid exchange from all involved in the decisions.
Decisions, yeah.
So it becomes a very important decision-making tool. Well, it is not again without disadvantages. Email is not confidential. Unless you have this kind of servers that BlackBerry provides, or you have premium paid services from Hotmail or Yahoo or
Exactly,
Google.
yeah.
The other free services are normally open, and you don't know who are the people reading your mails also. It is just like a postcard dropped in the mailbox. Everybody can read it. As compared to telephone or face-to-face communication, email does not communicate the sender's emotions well. Voice intonations, facial expressions, body movement are not part of the messages. That
Because
also
it is written messages,
written
obviously.
messages there.
Yeah.
It may be ignored, delayed, spammed, or junked also. The volume of email often makes it difficult to read and act also. These are some of the standard parts of the email, wherein we all know normally what is to, what is carbon copy notation, what is this BCC may be a problematic thing for many of the students. So I would like to just concentrate on this BCC. BCC means blind copy notation. CC means carbon copy. Well, the word comes from the old age when the carbon copy paper were used to make multiple copies. Now we have photocopier machines, and even now we have the internet prints available, so that people don't make more prints on the carbon copy. Well, but still the word remain as it is, without any change. So carbon copy remain there. Well, blind copy is a kind of a thing that you don't want to tell some people that this email has gone to a particular person also. Okay. So blind, you keep somebody blind to this particular thing, and there is one humorous example that we can see here. That
was wonderful. Okay.
So these are the things that we have to keep in mind when we see how the emails function.
Okay.
Well, before we go to this general considerations of the email, which are very brief, as the time is running out of our hand, I would like to show you one very, very interesting video clips which deals with what is going to come as a modern tool of communication in the days to come. If time permits later on, we will come back to the etiquettes of email. Well, the tools that we have discussed, like email, chatting, video conferencing, scraps on the social networking websites, and several other things. Can we say that this is all about 21st century communication tools? Yeah. Well, say that no, this is just the beginning of the modern tools used in the communication. The tools discussed here are only for the undergraduate students of communication skills. There are unfathomable opportunities in using technology as communication tools. And well, as a proof of that, I would like to show you this interesting video here. What you will see in this video is that how photography, editing of photographs, sharing of photographs will change in the days to come. How book reviews will be read by the people.
Okay.
Reading, listening and viewing of newspaper will be synergized. So it is not that we will be only reading the newspaper, but now we will be listening and also viewing newspaper. Okay. Internet browsing will totally change. Preparing presentations and word flow charts will also change from the way we are doing, and it will rather become more easier for those people who are not techno savvy also.
Okay.
Calls and SMSs will not require perhaps mobiles. Without that, with the help of just our palm, with our body, we can use, you can make calls and SMSs. Communication with the objects around us will be possible in this. Well, let us see.
By any chance, are you going to refer to Pranav Mistri's video?
Exactly.
Okay,
you have
because I've also seen that
yeah.
once. Okay, and that's wonderful. Yes, we must see this video.
Yeah, and we should be proud of the person who has invented this, Pranav Mistry, and this technology of sixth sense.
Yeah. I've seen this video on TED.
Yeah.
Okay, TED ideas worth sharing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
this is the guy.
TED,
This is the guy.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all will enjoy this video.
We grew up interacting with the physical objects around us, and there are enormous number of them that we everyday use. Unlike our most computing devices, these objects are much more fun to use with. When you talk about objects, one another thing automatically comes attached to that thing, and that is gestures, how we manipulate these objects, how we use this object in everyday life. We use gestures not only to interact with these objects, but we also use to interact with each other. Like gesture of namaste, maybe to respect someone, or maybe in India, I don't need to teach a kid that this means 4 run in cricket. It comes as a part of our everyday learning. So I'm very interested from beginning that how can our knowledge about everyday objects and the gestures and how we use this object can be leveraged to our interaction with the digital world.
Well, friends, I would like to concentrate here on this particular scene where we say that the object around us and how we can associate ourselves with those objects.
Okay.
What we find is that people making use of too much of technology, there is one thread that people are becoming robots.
Yeah, that is
even like mentally, physically, they are just robotic. Now, how to overcome this? And this technology helps that you become a part of the object around you, and yet you are using a technology.
Okay.
So this is an association that he is trying to make.
Less robotic.
Yeah, less robotic. You be human, and yet you are
yet
making
use
use
technology.
Of technology.
Okay.
And it also deals with this non-verbal kind of a communication which goes along with that.
rather than using a keyboard and mouse, why can I not use my computer in the same way that I interact in the physical world? So I started this exploration around 8 years back, and it literally started with a mouse on my desk. Rather than using that for computer, I actually opened it. And most of you might be aware that in those days the mouse used to come with a ball inside, and there are 2 rollers that actually guides the computer that where the ball is moving and accordingly where the mouse is moving. So I was interested in these 2 rollers, and I actually wanted more, so I borrowed another mouse from a friend, never returned him, and I have now 4 rollers. What interestingly I did with these rollers is basically I took them off from these mouses and then put in a one line.
That's wonderful.
It has some strings and pulleys and some spring. And what I got is basically a gesture interface device that actually acts as a motion sensing device made out of $2.
Wow, genius.
So here, whatever movement I do in my physical world is actually replicated inside the digital world just using this small device that I 8 years back in 2000.
Oh.
Because I was interested in integrating these 2 worlds, I thought of sticky notes. I thought, why can I not connect the normal interface of physical sticky note to our digital world?
Wow.
A message written on a sticky note with my mom on a paper can come to an SMS, or maybe a meeting reminder automatically syncs with my digital calendar. And a to-do list automatically syncs with you. But you can also search in the digital world. Or maybe you can write a query saying, what is Dr. Smith's address? And this small system actually prints out. So it actually acts as a paper input-output system,
wow,
just made out of paper. In one another exploration, I thought of making a pen that can draw in 3 dimensions. So I implemented this pen that can help designers and architects not only think in 3 dimensions, but they can actually draw so that it's more intuitive to use that way. Then I thought, why not making a Google map, but physical world? Rather than typing a keyword to find something, I put my objects on top of that. If I put a boarding pass, it will show me where is your flight gate.
My God.
A coffee cup will show you where you can find more coffee, or where you can trace that cup. So this was some of the earlier explorations I did, because the goal was to connect these 2 worlds seamlessly.
That was good.
Among all these experiments, there was one thing very common. I was trying to bring a part of the physical world to the digital world. I was taking some part of the objects or anything intuitiveness of the real life and bringing them to digital world.
What do you say? What you
Because the goal was to make our computing interfaces more intuitive. But then I realized that we humans actually are not interested in computing. What we are interested is in information. We want to know about things. We want to know about dynamic things going around.
Well, friends, this is what he very well explains, that we are not interested in technology itself, but we are interested in communicating. We are interested in knowing things. And that is where he is experimenting, that how you can incorporate all these things. And we can see that we know things, we communicate, and yet somewhere like instinctively we make use of technology also.
So I thought about last year, in the beginning of the last year, I started thinking that why can I not take this approach in reverse way? Maybe how about I take my digital world and paint the physical world with that digital information?
That's great.
Because pixels are actually right now confined in these rectangular devices that fits in our pocket. Why can I not remove this confine and take that to my everyday objects, everyday life, so that I don't need to learn the new language for interacting with those pixels? So, in order to realize this dream, actually I thought of putting a big size projector on my head. I think that's why it's called head-mounted projector, isn't it? I took it very literally and took my bike helmet, put a little bit cut over there so that project actually fits nicely. So now what I can do, I can augment the world around me with this digital information. But later I realized that I actually wanted to interact with those digital pixels also. So I put a small camera over there that acts as a digital eye. Later we moved to a much better consumer-oriented pendant version of that many of you are now knowing as Sixth Sense device.
Sixth Sense device.
But the most interesting thing about this particular technology is that you can carry your digital world with you wherever you go with you. You can start using any surface, any wall around you as an interface. The camera is actually tracking all your gestures. Whatever you are doing with your hands, it's understanding that gesture. And actually, if you see, there are some color markers that in the beginning version we were using over there. You can start painting on any wall, that you stop by a wall and start painting on that wall. But we are not only tracking here one finger. We are giving you the freedom of using all the both of hands. So you actually can use both of your hands to zoom into or zoom out a map just by pinching operation over here. The camera is actually doing just getting all the images, it's doing the age recognition and also the color recognitions, and like so many small algorithms are going inside. So technically it's a little bit so complex, but it gives you an output which is more intuitive to use in some sense. But I'm more excited that you can actually take it outside. Rather than getting your camera out of your pocket, you can just do the gesture of taking a photo and it takes photo for you. Right?
That's great.
Thank you.
Genius.
And later I can find a wall, anywhere a wall, and start browsing these photos. Or maybe, okay, I want to modify this photo a little bit and send it as an email to a friend.
On any wall, you know.
So we are looking for an era where computing will actually merge with the physical world. And of course, if you don't have any surface, you can start using your palm for simple operation. I'm dialing a phone number.
That was wonderful, I must say.
We grew up, right?
So he's using...
Thank you. And later I can find a wall, anywhere a wall, and start browsing these photos. Or maybe, okay, I want to put in this case the book.
Yes, yeah, you were asking something to me.
No, not asking actually. I was just putting these things. And he's using his camera, but you know, so it all started with those two roller balls, isn't it? You know, and then he connected this thing, you know, with the use of a camera and a projection. That's really wonderful. I mean, idea can come, you know, to anybody, but you know, the implementation of it. And what I know by this is quite an old video, 6 months back perhaps.
6 months back.
Now the device itself is ready in the market and it's available, I've heard. And that's very compact. It's not that big also. That is what he's showing, on his chest.
It's much smaller than. Now again you can see something like how you can read a review of a book. How you can also find that this product is valid or not. Let us see some more things, some more usage of this particular device.
We grew up, or maybe millions of books online, and checking out which book it is. Once it has that information, it finds out more reviews about that, or maybe New York Times had a sound overview on that, so you can actually hear on a physical book as a review of a sound.
Gave a famous talk at Harvard University.
This was Obama's last visit last week to MIT.
And particularly I want to thank two outstanding MIT.
So I was seeing the live of his talk outside in just a newspaper.
The photograph.
Your newspaper will show you live
news
of your weather information rather than having updated like you have to check your computer in order to do that, right?
My God. Wow.
When I'm going back, I can just use my boarding pass and to check, oh, my flight has been how much delayed. Because at that particular time, I'm not feeling of opening my iPhone and checking out a particular icon. And I think this technology will not only change the way, it will change the way we interact with people also, not only the physical world.
Oh.
The fun part is like I'm going to Boston Metro and playing Pong game inside the train on the ground.
Oh, God.
Right? And I think the imagination is the only limit of what you can think of when this kind of technology merging with the real life. But many of you argue actually that all of our work is not only about physical objects. We actually do lots of accounting and paper editing and all this kind of thing. What about that? And many of you are actually excited about the next generation tablet computers to come out in the market. So rather than waiting for that, I actually made my own and just using a piece of paper. So what here I did is remove the camera. All the cameras, webcam, have a microphone inside that camera. I removed that microphone from that, and that just pinch that, like just make a clip out of that microphone and clip that to a piece of paper, any paper that you found around. So now the sound of the touch is exactly getting me when exactly I'm touching the paper. But the camera is actually tracking where my fingers are moving. You can, of course, watch movies.
Good afternoon. My name is Russell, and I am a wilderness explorer in Tribe 54.
And you can, of course, play games. here the camera is actually understanding how you're holding the paper and playing the car racing game.
Wow.
Many of you already must have thought, okay, you can browse. Yeah, of course you can browse to any website. So you can do all sort of computing on a piece of paper wherever you need it. So, but more interestingly, I'm interested that how we can take that in a more dynamic way. When I come back to my desk, I can just pinch that information back to my desktop so that I can use my full-size computer. And why only computers? We can just play with papers. Like paper world is interesting to play with. So here I'm taking a part of a document and putting over here the second part of from second place, and I'm actually modifying the information that I have over there. Yeah, and then I'm saying, okay, this looks nice. Let me print it out, that thing. So I have a now printout of that thing, and now so the workflow is more intuitive the way that we used to do before, maybe 20 years back, rather than now switching between these two worlds. So as a last thought, I think that integrating information to our everyday objects will not only help us to get rid of the digital divide, the gap between these two worlds, but will also help us in some way to stay human, to be more connected to our physical world. And it will actually help us not end up being machines sitting in front of another machines.
Wow.
So that's all. Thank you.
That was really great. That was really wonderful, I must say. My God.
So this is where the technology...
The first video which we played raised plenty of questions, even in my mind, as well as in students' mind perhaps.
Okay.
Plenty of questions whether this is possible 2015, 2025 he was referring to.
Yeah.
But I think if we look at this, I think this must happen in 2015, earlier than that perhaps, This is the answer to all the questions, isn't it? Wonderful.
And the beautiful aspect of everything is this, the last slide that comes here. That now we give the human touch to this robotic technology. Tools are equipped with sixth sense technology. It helps in getting rid of digital divide by making us more human than robots.
Exactly.
We get more in touch with our physical world rather than being a techno-savvy person only. So that is the beauty of these new forms of technology. Well, this is the last slide, and you can note down the email address of SANDHAN BISEC Google Group to give your feedback, your comments. We are inviting your suggestions also at sandhan_bisec@googlegroups.com. And if you have any questions or doubts or suggestions, maybe today the time may not allow you to ask those questions, but you can post your comments on our personal email IDs, dilipbarad@gmail.com and harbhadrasinh@gmail.com.
Of course, I know the time is a factor we have to keep in mind, and the topic is such that it requires perhaps 2-3 hours discussion to justify each points, but still it was, we could at least give a bird view of the modern technological tools and use of them. We wish we could tell you something more about the social networking and the use of those networks, portals on in education and all this, but let us hope that Dr. Barad will definitely spare some time, one more time, and we will definitely invite you for that as well. We are obliged, Dr. Barad, that you have come here and you have spared your valuable time. Thank you so much.